Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because their mind quits long before their body does. Think about how many times you felt tired before you were actually exhausted. How many times you said, "I can't," when the truth was, "I'm uncomfortable." Your mind learned that pattern over years, and now it runs automatically. The brain is efficient, not ambitious. It wants safety, familiarity, and comfort. It does not care about your dreams. That's why change feels painful. That's why discipline feels heavy. That's why growth feels lonely. Every time you choose comfort, your mind learns that comfort is the priority. Every time you avoid a hard conversation, your mind learns avoidance. Every time you delay the work, your mind learns procrastination. And repetition turns behavior into identity. You don't wake up one day undisciplined. You train yourself into it. But here's the part most people never hear. If your mind can be trained into weakness, it can be trained into strength. The same way a muscle grows under resistance, your mind grows under pressure. Pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is the teacher. The people you admire didn't eliminate fear. They learned to move while fear was present. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action in the presence of fear. Your mind will always offer you a way out, an excuse, a delay, a reason to start tomorrow, and every time you accept that offer, you make the next excuse stronger. But the moment you say no, something shifts. The first time you wake up early when you don't feel like it, your mind resists. The second time, it complains less. The third time, it starts to adapt. And eventually, it follows. Your mind does not lead. It follows your actions. This is where most motivation content lies to people. They say you must feel ready before you act. That's backwards. You act first. Your mind follows later. Confidence is built after action, not before it. Discipline is built after repetition, not intention. You don't wait to feel like a disciplined person. You behave like one until your identity catches up. Every small promise you keep to yourself sends a signal. I can trust me. Every promise you break sends the opposite message. And trust in yourself is the foundation of confidence. People with low confidence aren't incapable. They just don't trust themselves anymore. They told themselves they'd start. They didn't. They told themselves they'd change. They didn't. So their mind learned a painful lesson. Your words don't mean anything. Today you reverse that pattern, not with grand gestures, with small, brutal consistency. You do what you said you would do, even when it's boring, even when no one sees it, even when it doesn't feel rewarding, especially then, because discipline done in silence is what builds unstoppable momentum. Success doesn't announce itself. It accumulates quietly. While others talk, you work. While others sleep, you prepare. While others doubt, you execute. And one day the gap is so wide they call it luck. But you know the truth. It was built in moments like this, moments where quitting was easier, but you stayed. Your mind will test you. It will ask, is this really worth it? That question is the gatekeeper. On the other side of that question is growth. On this side is comfort. You decide every day which side you live on. No one is coming to save you. No one is responsible for your discipline. No one owes you motivation. That responsibility belongs to you. And that should not scare you. That should empower you. Because if you are responsible, you are also in control. The moment you stop blaming circumstances, you gain power. The moment you stop waiting for permission, you gain momentum. The moment you stop negotiating with weakness, you become dangerous. Your past does not define you. Your habits do. Your feelings do not control you. Your decisions do. And every decision you make from this point forward is shaping the person you are becoming. Listen carefully. You don't need to be extreme. You need to be consistent. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be honest. You don't need motivation every day. You need discipline even on bad days. That's how real change happens. Not in a rush, not in a burst, but in a steady, unbreakable rhythm. And if you stay with this process, if you keep choosing action over excuses, your mind will change. And when your mind changes, your life has no choice but to follow. There will be days when nothing feels different. You will wake up, do the work, and see no immediate reward, no praise, no validation, no visible progress. This is the phase where most people quit. Not because the system isn't working, but because the reward is delayed. Your mind is wired for instant gratification. It wants proof now, results now, confirmation now. But success doesn't work on your timeline. It works on principle. Think of discipline like compound interest. 1 day of effort looks insignificant. 10 days still feel small. 30 days feel routine. Then 1 day, without warning, momentum kicks in. And people who weren't there for the quiet days show up to clap for the result. But here's the truth you must understand. The gap between effort and reward is where identity is built. Anyone can act when results are visible. Few can act when faith is required. That's why consistency is rare. That's why success is uncommon. Most people don't fail because they can't do the work. They fail because they can't tolerate the waiting. They start strong. They feel motivated. They post about it. Then the silence hits. No likes, no money, no recognition. And their mind whispers, "This isn't working." But what it really means is, "This isn't fast." If you can outlast that phase, you separate yourself from the majority. This is where mental toughness is forged. Mental toughness is not being loud. It is being unshakable. It's doing what needs to be done even when your emotions are screaming for comfort. Your feelings will lie to you. They will tell you to rest when you should push. They will tell you to quit when you should persist. They will tell you to wait when you should act. Feelings are temporary. Consequences are permanent. If you live by how you feel, you will live a reactive life. Winners live by standards, not emotions. They decide in advance who they are, and then they behave accordingly. When you decide, "I am the kind of person who finishes," quitting is no longer an option. When you decide, "I am the kind of person who shows up," excuses lose power. Your mind needs clear rules, not negotiations. Every time you negotiate with weakness, you give it a voice, and weakness will always argue convincingly. That's why discipline must be non-negotiable. You don't debate whether to brush your teeth. You don't debate whether to show up for responsibilities. You just do it. Your goals deserve the same respect. The life you want is built by boring decisions done with ruthless consistency. Wake up, do the work, repeat. Not when it's exciting, when it's dull. That's where mastery lives. You may not feel confident yet. That's normal. Confidence comes from evidence, and evidence is created through action. Every completed task is proof. Every finished day is data. Every kept promise strengthens belief. Over time, your inner voice changes. It stops asking, "Can I do this?" It starts saying, "I've done harder." That voice is earned. No book can give it to you. No speech can install it. Only action builds it. There will be moments when you want to compare yourself to others, when you see someone ahead of you and feel behind. Comparison is a distraction. You don't know their timeline. You don't know their sacrifices. You don't know their battles. Your only competition is the version of you that wants to stay comfortable. Beat that version daily, and you win. Progress is not linear. Some days you will feel powerful. Some days you will feel weak. Consistency means showing up on both days. You don't wait to feel strong. You act until strength arrives. This is how resilience is built. Resilience is not avoiding struggle. It is refusing to be defined by it. Every setback contains information. Every failure carries feedback. If you quit, you lose the lesson. If you persist, you gain wisdom. The people who win in life are not the smartest, not the most talented. They are the most stubborn about continuing. They refuse to let temporary discomfort override long-term vision. And that stubbornness, over time, looks like confidence, looks like calm, looks like control. But it started as a decision made on an ordinary day when quitting felt reasonable. You are building something invisible right now, something others cannot see yet. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Stay patient, stay disciplined, stay silent. Your results will speak when the time comes. And when they do, you won't need to explain yourself. Your focus is under attack every single day. Not by accident, by design. Every notification, every scroll, every distraction is competing for your attention because attention is power. And whatever controls your attention controls your life. Most people don't lack intelligence. They lack focus. They start something. They get distracted. They lose momentum. They start again and repeat the cycle for years. A distracted mind cannot build a disciplined life. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing less with full presence. The ability to sit with one task, one goal, one direction without escape is rare. That rarity is why it is valuable. Your mind wants stimulation. Silence feels uncomfortable. Boredom feels painful. But boredom is the gateway to mastery. When you remove distractions, your mind panics at first. It looks for an exit. It looks for relief. If you stay, something powerful happens. Your thoughts slow down. Your clarity increases. Your tolerance for depth improves. This is why high performers protect their focus aggressively. They don't respond to everything. They don't consume everything. They don't react to everything. They choose. Every time you say yes to distraction, you say no to depth. And depth is where excellence lives. You cannot skim your way to success. You cannot multitask your way to greatness. You must go deep. Deep work builds skill. Skill builds confidence. Confidence builds momentum. Most people stay shallow their entire lives. Not because they want to, because shallow is comfortable. Deep work is uncomfortable. It demands effort. It exposes weakness. But it also creates transformation. If you want a different life, you must be willing to focus longer than most people are comfortable with. That means planning your day instead of reacting to it. That means deciding your priorities instead of letting the world decide for you. Your time is not infinite. Your energy is not unlimited. Every wasted hour is a silent cost. You don't need to eliminate distractions forever. You need to control them intentionally. Structure creates freedom. When you decide when to work, when to rest, and when to disconnect, your mind relaxes. Chaos creates stress. Clarity creates calm. Most people live in mental chaos. They wake up without direction, consume without intention, work without focus, sleep without satisfaction. Then they wonder why they feel empty. Purpose fills the space that distraction cannot. When you know why you are doing something, endurance becomes possible. That's why vague goals fail. I want to be successful is too abstract. Your mind cannot commit to it. But when your goal is personal, when it is tied to your identity, your mind listens. You don't need motivation every day. You need meaning. Meaning turns effort into fuel. There will be days when your focus breaks, when you slip back into old patterns. That does not mean you failed. It means you are human. What matters is not perfection. It is recovery speed. How fast can you return to discipline after you fall? High performers don't avoid failure. They recover quickly. They don't punish themselves. They realign. Guilt wastes energy. Awareness redirects it. Notice the distraction. Cut it off. Return to the task. No drama. No self-hate. Just discipline. Over time, this builds mental control. You stop being a slave to impulses. You start acting with intention. That is freedom. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is having the ability to do what matters even when you don't feel like it. That ability separates adults from children, leaders from followers, winners from spectators. Your mind will resist this process. That is normal. It will tell you it's too strict, too boring, too much. Ignore it. The same mind that resists discipline will later thank you for it. Every focused session, every distraction you cut, every moment you choose depth over comfort is shaping your future self. You are not wasting time. You are investing it. And investment always feels uncomfortable at first, but time, when combined with focus, creates results that cannot be denied. Stay in control of your attention. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. Everything you do is a vote for the person you are becoming, not the big moments, the small ones, the decisions no one sees, the choices you make when there is no pressure, no deadline, no applause. That is where identity is formed. Most people try to change their life by changing outcomes, more money, more success, more recognition. But outcomes are a side effect. Identity comes first. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. Standards are the rules you live by when no one is watching. If your standard is convenience, your life will reflect that. If your standard is discipline, your life will rise to meet it. Self-respect is not confidence. It is consistency. Confidence is how you feel. Self-respect is what you do. You build self-respect by keeping promises to yourself, by doing the right thing even when it is inconvenient, by holding yourself accountable without excuses. Most people want confidence first. They want to feel ready before they act. But self-respect comes from action, and confidence grows from self-respect. When you know you do what you say, you trust yourself. That trust changes how you walk, how you speak, how you decide. You stop seeking approval. You stop explaining yourself. You stop negotiating with weakness. You don't need external validation when your internal standards are high. This is where the real shift happens. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "What would the person I respect do?" That question eliminates confusion. It doesn't ask what feels good. It asks what aligns with your values. Identity-based decisions simplify life. When you identify as someone who trains, you don't debate whether to work out. When you identify as someone who finishes, you don't consider quitting. When you identify as someone who respects their time, you don't waste it. Your actions become automatic. Most people live in constant decision fatigue because they haven't defined who they are. They decide everything in the moment, based on emotion, based on mood. That is exhausting. Clarity creates peace. When your identity is clear, your choices are easy. But this requires honesty. You must stop pretending. Stop performing. Stop living for appearances. Your standards are not what you say. They are what you tolerate. If you tolerate laziness, that is your standard. If you tolerate disrespect, that is your standard. If you tolerate inconsistency, that is your standard. And standards can be raised, not overnight, not with motivation, with deliberate practice. You raise your standards by doing one hard thing daily, one thing that requires effort, one thing that strengthens discipline. Not to impress others, to prove something to yourself. Each time you do, your identity shifts slightly. You begin to see yourself differently, not as someone trying, but as someone doing. That shift is powerful, because once your identity changes, your behavior follows automatically. You no longer need to force yourself. You simply act in alignment with who you are. This is how transformation becomes permanent. Not through willpower, through self-image. Protect your self-image fiercely. Do not speak negatively about yourself. Do not joke about your weakness. Do not normalize bad habits. What you repeat becomes reality. Speak with intention. Act with discipline. Hold your standards high. Even when no one is watching, especially then. Because the person you become in private is the person you reveal in public. And that person determines everything you experience in life. Pressure is not something to be avoided. Pressure is something to be trained for. Most people break under pressure because they never prepared for it. They hoped things would be easy. They expected life to cooperate. Life doesn't work that way. Pressure shows up when something matters. Responsibility, deadlines, expectations, risk. If you want a meaningful life, pressure will be part of it. The goal is not to remove pressure. The goal is to remain calm inside it. Emotional mastery is the ability to stay in control when your environment is trying to pull you apart. Your emotions are signals, not commands. They inform you. They do not lead you. When emotions lead, decisions suffer. Anger makes you reckless. Fear makes you hesitate. Stress makes you short-sighted. Most mistakes are emotional, not logical. That's why learning to pause is powerful. When pressure rises, slow down. Breathe. Create space between stimulus and response. In that space lives control. High performers are not emotionless. They feel everything. They just don't act on everything. They allow emotions to pass without letting them hijack behavior. Stress comes from resistance, from wishing things were different than they are. Acceptance reduces stress. Action resolves it. You don't calm stress by avoiding problems. You calm stress by facing them. Avoidance compounds pressure. Action releases it. Every task you delay adds weight. Every conversation you avoid adds tension. Do the hard thing early. The weight disappears faster than you think. Your nervous system adapts to what you expose it to. If you constantly avoid discomfort, your tolerance shrinks. If you face it daily, your tolerance grows. This is why small challenges matter. Cold mornings, focused work sessions, difficult conversations, physical effort. They are not punishments. They are training. Training your nervous system to stay calm while doing hard things. Over time, chaos feels manageable. Pressure feels familiar. And when pressure feels familiar, confidence appears. Not fake confidence, earned confidence. The kind that doesn't shake when things go wrong. Emotional strength is built by staying present when your instinct is to escape. When you feel overwhelmed, don't add stories. Don't tell yourself, this is too much, or I can't handle this. Those are interpretations, not facts. Return to what is in your control, your breath, your posture, your next action. Control the controllables. You don't need to solve everything now. You need to take the next correct step. Clarity comes from movement. People panic because they try to solve the entire future at once. That is impossible. Handle today, execute now, adjust later. Emotional discipline means choosing response over reaction. Reaction is automatic. Response is trained. You train it by slowing down under pressure, by refusing to rush decisions, by staying grounded when others spiral. This makes you reliable, and reliability builds trust. From others, from yourself. When you know you can handle stress without collapsing, you stop fearing it. Fear disappears when competence arrives. You don't need to be calm all the time. You need to recover quickly. Feel the emotion. Process it. Then return to action. No suppression. No indulgence. Balance. Your emotions are part of you, but they do not define you. You define you by how you act when it matters. And pressure is the moment it matters most. Most people think in days and weeks. Winners think in years. They are not obsessed with quick wins. They are committed to long games. This is where patience becomes a weapon. Short-term thinking creates stress. Long-term thinking creates stability. When you understand that real success takes time, you stop panicking over temporary setbacks. You stop asking, "Why isn't this working yet?" and start asking, "What would this look like if I stayed consistent for 5 years?" Consistency over years beats intensity over weeks. Anyone can push hard for a short period. Very few can show up quietly for a long time. That is why consistency is rare. And rarity creates value. Your habits are not meant to impress. They are meant to compound. Most days will feel ordinary, repetitive, unremarkable. That's not a flaw. That's the formula. Great lives are built on boring days done with discipline. If you need excitement to stay consistent, you will quit. If you rely on motivation, you will stop. But if you commit to process, results become inevitable. You don't measure success by how you feel today. You measure it by whether you showed up. Momentum is not built by dramatic breakthroughs. It is built by showing up when nothing exciting happens. This is where most people lose faith. They expect visible proof too early. They underestimate how long it takes and overestimate how fast things should change. But time rewards patience. If you keep going while others stop, you win by default. Legacy is not about fame. It's about impact. It's about becoming someone whose presence adds value. That starts with personal responsibility. You stop blaming the past. You stop resenting circumstances. You stop waiting for fairness. You focus on what you can control and improve it relentlessly. Legacy mindset asks a different question. Not, "What do I want right now?" but "What kind of person do I want to be remembered as?" That question changes behavior. It makes shortcuts unattractive. It makes integrity important. It makes discipline meaningful. When you think long-term, temptation loses power. You don't sacrifice the future for momentary comfort. You understand that every small decision is shaping your trajectory. You don't need massive goals. You need direction. Direction gives purpose to effort. Without direction, discipline feels pointless. With direction, discipline feels necessary. Your vision doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be clear enough to guide your daily actions. And clarity grows with movement. You don't find purpose by thinking. You find it by doing. Over time, your path reveals itself. Stay patient with that process. The most dangerous thing you can do is quit too early. Most success stories look overnight only because people ignore the years before. Be willing to be unseen. Be willing to be underestimated. Be willing to work without applause. That is the price of long-term success. And it is worth it. Because one day you will look back and realize the discipline that once felt heavy became the foundation of your freedom. Money is not just currency. It is behavior made visible. How you handle money reflects how you handle responsibility, patience, and self-control. Most people think money problems come from lack of income. In reality, they come from lack of discipline. You can earn more and still stay broke if your habits don't change. Financial stress is rarely about numbers. It's about decisions, impulse spending, avoidance, lack of planning, short-term pleasure over long-term security. Money amplifies who you already are. If you are disciplined, money becomes a tool. If you are impulsive, money becomes a trap. Financial maturity starts with honesty, not how much you wish you had, how much you actually earn, how much you actually spend, and where it actually goes. Avoidance creates anxiety. Awareness creates control. The moment you look directly at your finances, fear starts to lose its grip. Responsibility is calming. When you know where your money is going, your mind relaxes. Financial discipline is not about deprivation. It's about intention. You don't stop enjoying life. You stop sabotaging your future. Delayed gratification is a skill. And like all skills, it can be trained. Every time you say no to an impulse and yes to a long-term goal, you strengthen self-control. That self-control spills into every area of life. People who manage money well tend to manage emotions well, manage time well, manage pressure well, because the root skill is the same: restraint. You don't need to be rich to build wealth. You need consistency. Small amounts invested regularly beat large amounts invested emotionally. Chasing quick money usually leads to quick loss. Building slowly leads to stability. Stability creates freedom. When you are not stressed about money, your decisions improve. You stop operating from fear. You stop taking desperate shortcuts. You stop tolerating things you shouldn't. Financial discipline gives you options, and options are power. Living paycheck to paycheck is not just financial pressure, it's mental pressure. It forces short-term thinking. It keeps you reactive. Building a buffer, no matter how small, changes your mindset. You breathe differently when you know you can handle emergencies. Start where you are, not where you wish you were. Progress builds confidence. You don't need perfection. You need consistency. Track, plan, adjust. Money respects structure. If you treat it casually, it leaves casually. If you treat it with intention, it grows. Spending is emotional. Saving is logical. Train yourself to pause before purchases. Ask one simple question: does this move me closer to freedom or closer to stress? That question alone can change your life. Financial responsibility is self-respect in action. It's telling your future self, I cared enough to prepare. And that mindset creates a foundation that supports every other goal you have. The quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your relationships, not the number of people around you, but the standards you allow. Energy is finite. Where you spend it matters. Most people drain themselves trying to be liked, trying to be available, trying to avoid conflict. They confuse kindness with weakness, connection with attachment. Healthy relationships are built on respect, not obligation. You do not owe everyone access to you. You do not need to explain every boundary. You do not need permission to protect your peace. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They keep what nourishes you and block what depletes you. If someone consistently disrespects your time, your effort, your values, that is information. Pay attention to patterns, not promises. People reveal themselves through behavior. Listen, you don't need to cut everyone off. You need to be intentional. Some people are meant for seasons, some for lessons, few for life. Trying to keep everyone costs you yourself. Relationships should support growth, not sabotage it. If someone mocks your discipline, downplays your goals, or pressures you to stay small, that connection has a cost. And every cost comes out of your future. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is strategic. You cannot build a strong life while constantly repairing damage caused by others. Choose environments that elevate standards. Choose conversations that sharpen your thinking. Choose people who respect your direction. Distance is sometimes the most loving decision. Not out of anger, out of clarity. Emotional maturity means choosing long-term peace over short-term approval. You don't need to win every argument. You need to stay aligned with your values. Silence can be powerful. Walking away can be strength. The more disciplined you become, the fewer people will relate to you. That's normal. Growth creates separation before it creates alignment. Do not shrink to stay connected. Expand, and let the right people rise with you. Relationships thrive on honesty. Say what you mean what you say, and follow through. Inconsistency erodes trust. Consistency builds safety. And safety is the foundation of real connection. When you respect yourself, you teach others how to treat you, not with words, with actions. Your time matters. Your goals matter. Your energy matters. Spend them where they are valued, because the people you allow close will either fuel your progress or quietly slow it down. Choose wisely. At some point, success alone stops being enough. You can achieve goals, hit milestones, collect rewards, and still feel an emptiness you can't explain. That emptiness comes from a lack of meaning. Achievement satisfies the ego. Purpose fulfills the soul. Purpose is not found in applause. It is found in contribution. The moment your life becomes only about you, motivation weakens. But when your efforts serve something bigger than yourself, endurance increases. People who live with purpose handle pain differently. They recover faster. They persist longer, because their why is stronger than their mood. Purpose does not have to be grand. It does not require a stage. It begins with responsibility, doing your work with excellence, being reliable, adding value where you are. Purpose grows through service. When you help others, you strengthen yourself. When you contribute, you feel useful, and usefulness is deeply satisfying. Many people chase happiness, but happiness is unstable. Fulfillment comes from meaning, not comfort. Comfort fades quickly. Meaning sustains. You feel fulfilled when your actions align with your values, when your effort matters to someone beyond you. This is why discipline becomes easier with purpose. Sacrifice makes sense when it serves something meaningful. Without purpose, discipline feels like punishment. With purpose, it feels like devotion. You don't need to know your entire life mission today. You need direction. Direction comes from action. Do the work in front of you. Improve what you can reach. Help where you can. Purpose reveals itself through engagement. Isolation weakens purpose. Contribution strengthens it. The more value you create, the more confident you become. Not because you feel important, but because you know you are useful. Usefulness builds self-worth. Self-worth does not come from validation. It comes from impact. Ask yourself regularly, who benefits from my discipline? Who benefits from my growth? Who benefits if I stay consistent? Those questions pull you forward on days motivation fades. A life of meaning is not easy, but it is rich. It asks more of you, and it gives more back. Success without purpose feels empty. Purpose without effort feels powerless. Together, they create fulfillment. You were not designed to consume endlessly. You were designed to contribute. And the more you lean into that truth, the stronger you become. Doubt is normal. It creeps in silently, questioning every move you make. Most people allow that doubt to dictate their actions. They wait for certainty, for signs, for guarantees. Winners, however, act despite uncertainty. They move forward even when the path is unclear. Because waiting for full clarity is a trap, one that keeps most people stagnant. Belief in yourself is not arrogance. It is acknowledgement of potential. Every expert, every leader, every person you admire once faced moments of uncertainty. They doubted, they feared, and yet they acted. The difference is they trusted the process, trusted their preparation, and trusted themselves. Your path will not always be smooth. Obstacles will appear, people will criticize, opportunities may seem scarce, the world will test your conviction constantly. The mind whispers, "Are you sure? Maybe this isn't for you. Perhaps you're not ready." That voice is normal. But it is not truth. It is fear, disguised as caution. Every time you hesitate, ask yourself, if I don't do this now, will I regret it later? The answer will guide your actions. Belief is reinforced through action. Doubt diminishes as you keep proving yourself right. Start small if needed. One decision, one action, one commitment kept, then repeat. Consistency in action creates an unshakable belief system. Stop comparing your journey to others. Their path is different. Their timing is different. Focus on your progress, however small. Your growth compounds silently. Your effort matters even when it seems invisible. Trust the unseen work. It is the foundation of everything that will come. Sometimes the world will not acknowledge your work. It will not cheer for your discipline or recognize your sacrifice. That is irrelevant. Recognition is a byproduct, not the goal. Your goal is to become someone who cannot be shaken by external validation, someone whose confidence comes from internal evidence. The people who succeed are not those who feel the most confident. They are those who act when confidence is absent. They trust themselves enough to take steps into the unknown. They know that doubt is temporary, but action is permanent. Your past failures do not define you. They are lessons, data points for recalibration. Each setback, each mistake is an opportunity to refine your strategy, strengthen your mindset, and reinforce your commitment. Stop reliving them. Start learning from them. Start moving forward. Self-belief is built in the trenches. It grows in the discomfort of pushing forward when no one is watching. It strengthens in moments when the outcome is uncertain, but your effort is undeniable. It flourishes when you decide, over and over, that your goals are more important than your fears. Trusting your own path requires patience. The world may not understand it. People may question your choices. You may question your choices. That is natural. But if your actions align with your values and your long-term vision, your path is valid. Consistency transforms doubt into confidence, fear into courage, and uncertainty into clarity. You were designed to navigate challenges. You were designed to face uncertainty and act anyway. Every time you choose faith in yourself over fear, you grow stronger. Every time you follow through on what matters, you reinforce the unshakable belief that you are capable. This is your moment. Not because it is easy, not because it is guaranteed, because you choose it, because you act, because you trust yourself enough to continue when others would quit. Life is full of choices, but most people operate on autopilot. They react instead of strategizing, respond instead of deciding. Winners think ahead. They anticipate challenges before they arrive. They plan moves in silence, so when pressure hits, their actions are precise and intentional. Strategic thinking is not complicated. It is deliberate. It is awareness combined with decision-making. Every choice, every step, is weighed against your long-term objectives. Your mind is a battlefield. Thoughts are soldiers. Without command, they run wild. Distractions, doubts, and fear dominate. But when you train your mind to think critically, to analyze before reacting, chaos becomes opportunity. Every problem reveals leverage. Every obstacle hides advantage. The difference between people who stumble and people who win is perspective. Winners see solutions where others see walls. They ask, "How can I use this?" Not, "Why me?" Critical decisions are never made under panic. They are made with clarity. You must train yourself to pause before acting, to evaluate, to anticipate consequences, to weigh risk against reward. Impulses are easy. Strategy is hard. but the payoff is unmatched. Each calculated choice compounds over time, building momentum invisible to those who only chase excitement. Your environment shapes your thinking. The people you spend time with, the content you consume, the habits you repeat, all of it determines your mental capacity. Guard it fiercely. Surround yourself with clarity, insight, and excellence. Avoid noise that dulls your judgment. Protect your mind like it is your greatest asset, because it is. Every successful person you admire mastered this. They created systems that reduced friction, eliminated indecision, and amplified efficiency. You can do the same. Start with one framework. Identify your top priorities, remove distractions, and create a step-by-step process to reach them. Then, repeat, refine, optimize. The power of strategic thinking grows as you consistently apply it. Long-term vision is not static. It evolves as you learn, grow, and adapt. Flexibility is not weakness. It is intelligence. Rigidity leads to frustration. Adaptability leads to mastery. The strongest minds are those that plan for the future but adjust in real time, responding with precision while maintaining focus on ultimate objectives. Patience is a strategic weapon. The impatient act recklessly. They waste energy. They jump from idea to idea, habit to habit, hoping for instant results. Winners understand compounding. They know that consistent, intelligent action produces outcomes that appear miraculous only to the untrained eye. Decision fatigue is real. Most people fail not because they make bad choices, but because they make too many unnecessary ones. Protect your energy. Simplify recurring decisions. Create rules for your life. Let important decisions receive your full attention. Automate the rest. This preserves mental bandwidth for what truly matters. Every choice you make today writes the blueprint for tomorrow. Strategic thinking transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. It separates those who drift from those who lead. It separates those who react from those who create. It separates lives of regret from lives of impact. High-performance habits are not glamorous. They are often invisible, unnoticed by the world. They happen in the quiet moments when no one is watching. They are the decisions repeated daily, the routines that shape character, and the small victories that accumulate into unstoppable momentum. Excellence is not a one-time event. It is a pattern. It is consistency multiplied over time. Your body, your mind, your energy, they are instruments. If you neglect them, they falter. If you train them deliberately, they become extensions of your will. Habits are the bridge between intent and action. Without them, even the clearest goal remains a dream. With them, even small efforts produce disproportionate results. Resilience is cultivated, not granted. It grows each time you face discomfort and refuse to surrender. It strengthens when you encounter failure and continue anyway. Life will push you to your limits. That is not a flaw. It is the process. The difference between those who break and those who thrive is the mindset to persist regardless of circumstances. Your environment will not always be supportive. People will doubt, systems will fail, and resources will be limited. This is where mental toughness matters most. It is the ability to maintain composure, focus, and direction when chaos surrounds you. The strongest minds are not those shielded from pressure. They are those forged in it. Control your input, your thoughts, your media consumption, your associations. All of it becomes your mental diet. What you feed your mind determines your beliefs, your expectations, and ultimately, your results. Guard this diet fiercely. Eliminate negativity, distraction, and unnecessary drama. Feed yourself insight, perspective, and challenge. High performers embrace discomfort deliberately. They understand that short-term pain produces long-term gain. Cold mornings, difficult conversations, extra hours of work. They are investments, not punishments. Each moment endured builds mental toughness, discipline, and confidence. Your capacity grows in proportion to the challenges you accept. Self-reflection is key. At the end of each day, review your actions honestly. Where did you act in alignment with your standards? Where did you compromise? This is not judgment, it is calibration. Adjustment ensures progress continues. The strongest people are those who correct themselves consistently without needing external correction. Mastery requires both focus and rest. Overwork kills clarity. Undervaluing rest reduces resilience. Your mind and body are instruments. Treat them with respect. Sleep, recovery, and restoration are not indulgences. They are strategic. Without them, effort diminishes and habits fail. Remember, every high-performance habit compounds silently. The world often overlooks it. It rewards the outcome, not the process. You must trust the process. You must persist, even when recognition is absent. The invisible work done consistently becomes the foundation for extraordinary results. Self-mastery is the highest form of freedom. It is the ability to govern your impulses, your emotions, and your actions so that you operate from intention rather than reaction. Most people live in chains of habit, emotion, and circumstance. They respond to life rather than directing it. True power comes from awareness, choice, and follow-through. Every decision is a test. Will you take the easy route or the correct one? Will you act in alignment with your values or yield to immediate comfort? Will you invest in long-term growth or settle for temporary pleasure? Self-mastery is deciding the right path consistently, even when it is difficult. Your thoughts will always try to betray you. Fear, doubt, impatience, they are persistent. But you are stronger than your fleeting emotions. Observe them without surrender. Question them. Use them as signals, not commands. The mind is a tool. Command it. Do not obey it blindly. Decision optimization is key. Not all choices deserve the same mental energy. Learn to distinguish between trivial and meaningful decisions. Automate small ones. Conserve energy for strategic, high-impact actions. This is how extraordinary people create leverage in life. They focus where it matters most. Your identity is your compass. Every choice reinforces who you are becoming. Will you be the person who quits when it gets hard, or the one who perseveres? Will you be known for consistency or inconsistency? Every act, no matter how small, writes the narrative of your life. Choose carefully. Discipline underpins self-mastery. Without it, awareness is useless. You can know the right thing to do, but without the habit of doing it, knowledge remains idle. Habits are the architecture of character. Build routines that align with your vision, and your actions will eventually become automatic. Interruptions are inevitable. How you respond defines your trajectory. Do not react automatically. Pause. Assess. Choose the response that aligns with your priorities. Every automatic reaction chips away at your attention. Every intentional response strengthens it. Mental clarity grows with reflection. End each day reviewing what captured your attention, what added value, and what drained it. Awareness allows adjustment. Awareness turns reactive behavior into strategic action. Awareness is power. Focus compounds over time. Small increments of deliberate attention, repeated consistently, produce mastery. 1 uninterrupted hour today is more valuable than 10 distracted hours over a week. Depth accumulates silently. and the results eventually appear overwhelming to the untrained eye. Your future self depends on your attention today. Guard it, invest it, protect it from triviality and chaos. Where you place your mind, you place your life. Life constantly presents uncertainty. Every decision carries risk. Most people are paralyzed by it, waiting for perfect information that never comes. High performers act decisively despite incomplete data. They understand that waiting for certainty is a trap. It guarantees stagnation. Decision-making under uncertainty is a skill, not an innate talent. It begins with clear priorities. When your values are defined, choices become simpler. Every option is measured against what truly matters. If it aligns, you act. If it doesn't, you decline. This clarity reduces hesitation. Risk assessment is not about avoiding danger. It is about understanding consequences. Calculate potential outcomes, evaluate probabilities, and make informed choices. Accept that some risk is inevitable. Avoiding all risk is avoiding growth. Courage is calculated, not reckless. Resilience is your safety net. You will make mistakes. You will encounter failure. You will misjudge situations. That is unavoidable. The difference is how quickly you recover and adjust. The faster your recovery, the less costly the error. Your mind will try to avoid uncertainty through procrastination, overanalysis, and distraction. Recognize these tactics as fear in disguise. Action under ambiguity strengthens confidence. Each time you step forward despite doubt, you expand your capacity to handle complexity. High performers create feedback loops. They act, evaluate results, adjust, and repeat. Iteration is more valuable than inaction. Waiting for perfect execution is an illusion. Progress is built through informed trial and persistent refinement. Stress under uncertainty is natural. Accept it. Channel it. Do not let it dictate choices. The mind that remains calm under pressure gains clarity. The one that panics creates chaos. Emotional control is as important as analytical skill. Prepare for contingencies, but do not obsess. Planning is the framework. Execution is the engine. Overplanning wastes energy. Overreacting wastes focus. Balance preparation with decisive action. Every risk avoided is opportunity lost. Every calculated action taken compounds into experience, confidence, and momentum. Experience reduces uncertainty for the future. Momentum reduces hesitation. Confidence reduces fear. Remember, the path to mastery is paved with uncomfortable choices. High performers learn to embrace uncertainty, not fear it. They make decisions aligned with values, act despite risk, and recover quickly from missteps. This combination creates unstoppable forward motion. Your mind is the engine of performance. Habits are the fuel. The combination determines output. Most people neglect this relationship. They rely on motivation, believing it will carry them through. Motivation is fleeting. Habits are permanent. Build the right habits and results follow automatically. Habit stacking is a powerful tool. Pair a new desired behavior with an established routine. Let momentum carry it forward. The brain craves pattern and repetition. By embedding productive actions into existing habits, you reduce resistance and increase consistency. Small changes compounded over time produce exponential results. Mental conditioning is equally critical. Your mind must be trained to endure discomfort, resist distraction, and operate under pressure. This is done through deliberate practice, reflection, and incremental challenges. Each time you face difficulty intentionally, you expand your capacity for performance. Productivity is not about doing more. It is about doing the right things consistently. Focus on high-leverage actions. Eliminate trivial tasks. Apply effort where it creates the most impact. Work smarter, not harder. Efficiency multiplies results more than sheer effort ever can. Your nervous system responds to exposure. The more you practice discipline, focus, and high-intensity work, the more capable you become. Discomfort becomes manageable. Pressure becomes familiar. Tasks that once seemed impossible become routine. That is the transformation of repeated, intentional action. Reflection consolidates growth. Daily review of your habits, choices, and outcomes allows refinement. Identify what worked, what drained you, and what needs adjustment. Feedback transforms experience into mastery. Without reflection, repetition is wasted effort. Energy management underpins everything. Mental focus, physical endurance, and emotional resilience are all products of energy. Sleep, nutrition, and recovery are not optional. They are strategic imperatives. Treat your body and mind as instruments of high performance. Neglect them and results will falter. Consistency over time is the ultimate differentiator. Intensity is temporary. Momentum lasts. Show up daily, execute, refine, repeat. The invisible work compounds silently. Years of small, deliberate actions produce outcomes that appear miraculous to outsiders, but to you, they are inevitable. Peak productivity emerges when mental conditioning, habit stacking, focus, and energy management align. Each element reinforces the others. Discipline fuels habits. Habits fuel focus. Focus fuels results. Results fuel confidence. Confidence fuels action. It is a cycle of relentless, compounding growth. Self-discipline is the backbone of every achievement. It is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you do not feel like it. Most people confuse motivation with discipline. Motivation fluctuates. Discipline is consistent. It does not negotiate. It does not wait for perfect conditions. It acts regardless. Decision fatigue is real. Every choice you make consumes mental energy. The more trivial decisions you handle daily, the less energy remains for high-impact actions. Reduce unnecessary choices. Standardize routines. Automate what can be automated. Conserve your willpower for what truly matters. Cognitive optimization is critical. Your brain is your most valuable asset. Feed it well. Challenge it. Rest it. Mental clarity comes from nutrition, sleep, and deliberate mental exercise. Avoid overstimulation. Limit passive consumption of content that drains attention and energy. Your environment either reinforces or undermines self-discipline. Surround yourself with cues that encourage focus, consistency, and excellence. Remove distractions, negative influences, and chaotic elements. Physical and mental space directly affects performance. Control what you can, ignore what you cannot. Habits are compounded decisions. Every action you take reinforces identity. Choosing discipline once is easy. Choosing it repeatedly, especially when tempted to quit, builds a character that cannot be shaken. Your future self depends on these repeated choices. Resist instant gratification. Comfort is seductive. Growth is uncomfortable. Delayed rewards are the currency of high performers. Every time you forgo the easy path in favor of the correct path, you strengthen self-control. Each victory over impulse makes subsequent victories easier. Tracking progress matters. Measure what you do. Evaluate outcomes. Adjust. Without feedback, effort is directionless. Discipline without reflection becomes rote, empty compliance. Reflect daily, weekly, monthly. Let data guide refinement. Stress and fatigue are tests of resilience. They will always be present. The difference between those who fail and those who succeed is preparation and mental conditioning. Train yourself to operate under strain. Train yourself to stay composed and effective when energy is low. Mental toughness is non-negotiable. You will be tested. You will encounter distractions, setbacks, and fatigue. The stronger your self-discipline, the more reliable your performance under pressure. Strengthen it daily, silently, and consistently. Time is your most valuable asset. Once spent, it cannot be reclaimed. Most people treat it carelessly, letting hours slip through distractions, indecision, and shallow engagement. High performers protect their time fiercely, understanding that where attention goes, life flows. Structuring your day is a strategic act. Do not leave it to chance. Allocate blocks for deep work, reflection, physical care, and rest. Guard these blocks as if they are sacred. Treat interruptions as exceptions, not norms. Discipline in scheduling amplifies productivity. Prioritization is critical. Not all tasks carry equal weight. Identify high-impact actions, those that move you closer to your long-term vision. Execute them first. Avoid the temptation of busy work that gives the illusion of progress but produces little real value. Energy management underlies every decision about time. Peak performance occurs when effort aligns with energy. Schedule your most demanding work when you are most alert. Reserve low-energy periods for maintenance, planning, or recovery. This is leverage. The power of routines cannot be overstated. Morning and evening rituals set the tone and consolidate habits. They reduce reliance on motivation and automate excellence. The less you debate small actions, the more mental bandwidth you conserve for decisions that matter. Deep work is the multiplier. Focused, uninterrupted effort on meaningful tasks creates results far beyond the sum of the hours spent. Shallow work, multitasking, and distractions dilute effort and yield minimal returns. Protect your mind from trivial engagement. Reflection and adjustment are essential. Weekly and monthly reviews allow you to evaluate progress, refine strategies, and realign priorities. Without this feedback loop, even disciplined execution risks going off course. Awareness transforms effort into results. Boundaries amplify effectiveness. Say no to low-value demands. Protect time from unnecessary social obligations, notifications, and mindless consumption. The right boundaries create the space for high-value work and deep focus. Consistency over time compounds results silently. Small, repeated, intentional actions produce outcomes that seem disproportionate to the effort invested. This is the power of disciplined time management, transforming ordinary days into extraordinary outcomes. Life will constantly challenge your emotional stability. Stress, pressure, setbacks, and unexpected events are inevitable. The difference between those who thrive and those who collapse is how they manage their inner state. Emotional regulation is not about suppressing feelings, it is about directing them. Your emotions are data, not directives. Anger, fear, frustration, and doubt signal something important, but they should not control your actions. Learn to observe them without attachment. Naming the emotion creates space. Breathing and pausing before reacting is the bridge from impulse to intentional action. Stress adaptation is a skill. Exposure to manageable levels of stress strengthens resilience. The more you face discomfort intentionally, the more your nervous system adapts. This builds confidence that you can handle bigger challenges without collapsing. Cognitive reframing is powerful. Situations are neutral until interpreted. The same event can feel catastrophic or instructive depending on perspective. High performers train themselves to view obstacles as opportunities for growth, learning, and skill development. This mental framing reduces fear and strengthens resolve. Physical states influence emotional states. Movement, posture, and breath directly affect your nervous system. When tension rises, pause and adjust your body. Stand tall, breathe deeply, move intentionally. Physiological regulation reinforces mental regulation. Routine exposure to controlled stress, whether through physical exercise, focused work under pressure, or difficult conversations, acts as training. Each time you navigate discomfort without overreacting, your emotional threshold rises. Resilience becomes habitual. Self-talk shapes your emotional reality. Replace self-doubt and negativity with constructive, action-oriented language. Your inner voice can motivate or sabotage. Discipline it carefully. Consistent positive framing strengthens mental endurance over time. Recovery is part of adaptation. Intense focus, emotional regulation, and high-pressure execution are unsustainable without rest. Deliberate recovery, sleep, reflection, and mental breaks ensures sustainable performance. Burnout is the enemy of mastery. Remember, resilience is cumulative. Every instance you respond with control, every moment you choose patience over panic, builds a stronger, more capable version of yourself. This invisible work manifests as unshakable composure in critical moments. Leadership begins within. Before you can influence others, you must first master yourself. Every decision, every habit, every action shapes the authority you carry. People follow those who operate from clarity, consistency, and integrity, not from ego, titles, or charisma alone. Influence is built on trust. Trust is earned silently through competence and reliability. When you consistently deliver under pressure, when your actions match your words, others instinctively look to you for guidance. Influence grows naturally from demonstrated capability. Decision-making under pressure separates leaders from followers. High stakes reveal character. Most people hesitate, overthink, or defer responsibility. Leaders act decisively, balancing speed with accuracy. They embrace uncertainty, evaluate options swiftly, and commit fully. Indecision is more damaging than a wrong decision. Emotional composure amplifies influence. A leader who reacts impulsively diminishes credibility. One who remains calm under stress signals competence and reassurance. People mirror the emotional state of those they follow. Your stability becomes their anchor. Communication is an extension of your mindset. Clear, concise, and confident expression reflects internal clarity. Avoid ambiguity. State intentions, expectations, and reasoning with authority. When your inner state is aligned, communication flows naturally and persuasively. Accountability is non-negotiable. Leaders accept responsibility for outcomes, both success and failure. Blame erodes trust. Ownership strengthens authority. Taking responsibility publicly and acting decisively privately signals true leadership. Strategic vision distinguishes average performers from extraordinary leaders. Short-term tactics matter, but leaders maintain focus on the long-term trajectory. Every choice, every delegation, every prioritization aligns with this vision. Clarity of direction inspires confidence and loyalty. Mentorship and development of others is integral. A leader multiplies impact by elevating those around them. Sharing knowledge, challenging others, and fostering independence creates a resilient team and amplifies results beyond personal capability. Resilience under pressure is a leader's currency. The ability to navigate chaos, make high-stakes decisions calmly, and maintain standards sets you apart. People do not remember words. They remember the composure, direction, and results that you create in critical moments. Self-mastery is the foundation of extraordinary achievement. It is the ability to control your thoughts, emotions, habits, and actions, even when circumstances are unpredictable or uncomfortable. Most people react to life. High performers respond intentionally. This distinction creates freedom and power. Thought control begins with awareness. Monitor your mental dialogue. Recognize limiting beliefs, doubts, and negative patterns. Challenge them actively. Replace destructive narratives with constructive, growth-oriented perspectives. Your mind will follow the story you tell it consistently. Habit optimization is the next layer. Habits are the architecture of identity. Build routines that reinforce your highest values. Stack habits intelligently. Pair productive behaviors with triggers that prompt automatic execution. Small, consistent actions compound into transformative results over time. Energy management is inseparable from performance. Peak productivity is not about doing more, but about aligning effort with capacity. Sleep, nutrition, movement, and intentional recovery regulate energy reserves. Guard these pillars rigorously. They determine cognitive clarity, focus, and resilience. Deliberate practice accelerates skill acquisition. Focused, high-intensity practice with clear feedback loops strengthens both competence and confidence. Repetition alone is insufficient. Practice must be purposeful, challenging, and refined. Growth occurs at the edge of current ability, not in comfort zones. Mental conditioning extends beyond knowledge. It is emotional and physiological adaptation. Subject yourself to controlled stressors. Physical exertion, demanding cognitive tasks, social challenges. Each encounter trains your nervous system, expands tolerance for pressure, and increases performance capacity. Decision efficiency is critical. Reduce trivial choices, automate routine tasks, and standardize behaviors to conserve mental bandwidth. Your most valuable cognitive resources should be reserved for high-impact decisions. This reduces fatigue, increases consistency, and strengthens strategic thinking. Reflection and measurement complete the cycle. Analyze results, identify patterns, and adjust strategies regularly. Without feedback, effort lacks direction. Continuous refinement converts experience into mastery. The combination of action, assessment, and adjustment compounds effectiveness exponentially. Resilience is the glue of self-mastery. Challenges, setbacks, and failures are inevitable. Your response determines growth. Each obstacle endured intentionally, each discomfort embraced, each discipline reinforced, builds a more capable, confident, and unstoppable version of yourself. Focus is the multiplier of productivity. Without it, effort scatters and results diminish. Most people drift through tasks, allowing distractions and interruptions to fragment attention. High performers treat focus as sacred, guarding it like currency. Cognitive endurance is built incrementally. Begin with concentrated sessions on meaningful work. Push slightly beyond comfort. Gradually extend duration and intensity. Each session strengthens attention span and mental stamina, making long, high-value work increasingly natural. Distraction is the enemy of excellence. Every notification, social media scroll, or unnecessary interruption erodes cognitive energy. Reduce exposure. Create environments that encourage sustained attention. Use deliberate blocks for deep work, free from interruption. Consistency here compounds dramatically. High-output productivity comes from combining focus with strategic prioritization. Not all work yields equal returns. Identify high-leverage actions that advance your long-term objectives. Execute them with full presence. Shallow tasks can wait, delegate, or be eliminated. Attention management requires awareness. Notice when your mind drifts. Recognize urges for instant gratification. Pause. Refocus. Each instance of redirecting attention strengthens neural pathways associated with self-control and mental resilience. Energy synchronization amplifies focus. Align tasks with natural peaks in alertness. Schedule demanding cognitive work when your mind is sharpest. Reserve routine or low-energy activities for periods of lower mental capacity. This alignment maximizes output while conserving reserves. Habit reinforcement underpins sustained performance. Pair productive focus sessions with environmental cues. Reward completion of deep work deliberately. Over time, the brain associates concentration with positive reinforcement, reducing friction and increasing automaticity. Micro breaks are strategic. Short pauses refresh cognition, reduce fatigue, and sustain performance over extended periods. Movement, breathwork, or brief reflection during breaks helps maintain high-level execution without sacrificing momentum. The compounding effect of disciplined focus is profound. Hours spent in uninterrupted, deliberate work accumulate invisibly. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and eventually into mastery. The visible results are merely the tip of an invisible iceberg of effort, concentration, and consistency. Decision-making shapes destiny. Every choice, no matter how small, directs energy, attention, and resources. Most people drift through life, letting circumstances or emotion dictate choices. High performers act with clarity, purpose, and intentionality. Priority engineering is essential. Not all tasks carry equal weight. Identify actions that create disproportionate impact on long-term goals. Execute these first, consistently, and with full presence. Low-impact tasks should be automated, delegated, or eliminated entirely. Time scarcity is real. You cannot do everything. Choice is inevitable. Embrace it consciously. Recognize trade-offs. Every commitment is a trade-off. Every yes implies a no elsewhere. Protect your focus ruthlessly. Optimization requires reflection. Analyze results regularly. Evaluate what worked, what didn't, and why. Adjust strategies based on evidence, not emotion. Iterative refinement multiplies effectiveness and accelerates progress. Decision fatigue is a silent threat. Reduce trivial choices. Standardize routines. Automate repetitive tasks. Conserve mental energy for high-stakes, high-leverage decisions. This enhances consistency and sharpens judgment under pressure. High performers anticipate problems before they arise. Scenario planning, contingency preparation, and strategic foresight minimize reactive responses. The ability to act decisively under uncertainty separates leaders from the average. Execution is inseparable from decision-making. Decisions without follow-through are meaningless. Discipline converts choice into action. Action produces feedback, learning, and momentum. Delayed implementation erodes opportunity and confidence. Reflection completes the loop. Each decision taken and each outcome observed informs the next. Continuous self-assessment and adaptive learning create compounding mastery in judgment, timing, and strategic thinking. Optimization is iterative. Life is a system of interconnected variables: health, relationships, finances, growth, and contribution. Deliberate alignment and continuous improvement across these domains produces a high-functioning, resilient, and fulfilled individual. Habits are the architecture of identity. Every repeated action, no matter how small, shapes who you become. Most people underestimate the cumulative power of daily choices, focusing on dramatic transformations instead of consistent, incremental improvement. High performers understand that mastery is built quietly, one habit at a time. Behavioral engineering begins with awareness. Track your current actions. Identify patterns that serve you and those that hinder you. Small, deliberate adjustments produce compounding results over time. Remove friction from positive habits and increase friction for detrimental behaviors. Stacking habits accelerates progress. Pair new, desired behaviors with existing routines. Use triggers, events, times, or contexts to prompt automatic execution. This reduces reliance on willpower and makes consistency effortless. Identity reinforcement is critical. Your habits signal to yourself who you are. Every small act of discipline says, I am capable. I follow through. I honor my commitments. Each lapse communicates the opposite. Over time, these signals consolidate into a self-image that drives automatic behavior. Motivation is unreliable. Habits are unstoppable. Do not wait to feel inspired. Do not negotiate with discomfort. Execute regardless of mood. Emotion follows action, not the other way around. Your consistent behavior builds internal momentum that becomes unshakable. Environmental design amplifies habit formation. Shape your surroundings to support desired actions and inhibit distractions. Remove temptations. Introduce cues that trigger focus, energy, and discipline. Your environment is a silent partner in your self-mastery. Accountability strengthens adherence. Track progress publicly or privately. Measure outcomes. Celebrate small wins. Record failures without judgment, and adjust systems accordingly. Data-driven habit development accelerates refinement and ensures alignment with long-term goals. Patience underlies all sustainable change. Significant transformation is rarely visible day to day. The compounding effect of disciplined action accumulates silently. Trust the process. Embrace the invisible work. Over time, consistency produces extraordinary results that feel inevitable in retrospect. Adversity is inevitable. Life will challenge you in ways you cannot anticipate. The difference between those who succeed and those who falter is not luck or talent. It is mental toughness. Mental toughness is the capacity to persist, adapt, and perform under prolonged pressure. Stress inoculation is the process of deliberate exposure to manageable challenges. Small, controlled difficulties condition the nervous system, preparing you for larger obstacles. Physical exertion, uncomfortable situations, and high-pressure tasks all serve as training grounds. Each encounter strengthens composure, focus, and adaptability. Resilience is reinforced by perspective. Challenges are not punishments. They are information. Each setback provides data on weaknesses, gaps, and areas for growth. Treat failures as lessons, not reflections of self-worth. Embrace discomfort as a sign of progress. Control what you can. Accept what you cannot. Wasting energy on uncontrollable variables diminishes performance. Focus on actionable steps, decisions, and responses. Discipline your attention to what produces results, and release anxiety over what lies outside your control. Recovery is strategic. Mental toughness is not sustained through constant pressure alone. It requires restoration. Rest, reflection, and self-care are essential components of prolonged resilience. Overexposure without recovery leads to burnout, not growth. Emotional regulation is non-negotiable. Stress will provoke fear, frustration, and anger. Observe these emotions, acknowledge them, and channel them into deliberate action. High performers convert discomfort into fuel, not excuses. Preparation amplifies confidence. Anticipate challenges before they arise. Develop contingencies, rehearse responses, and internalize routines that maintain performance under duress. Confidence is not absence of stress. It is mastery of response. Persistence compounds power. Every decision to continue when quitting feels easier strengthens the neural pathways of endurance. Momentum is built quietly, incrementally, and invisibly. Long-term mental toughness emerges not from one heroic act, but from countless small victories over self-doubt, fear, and resistance. Peak performance is a system, not a single act. It is the alignment of energy, focus, habits, and environment to produce extraordinary results consistently. Most people chase occasional bursts of intensity. High performers build sustainable systems that compound over time. Performance cycles are essential. Recognize periods of high energy and mental clarity. Schedule demanding tasks during these peaks. Reserve low-energy periods for recovery, reflection, and low-stakes activities. Aligning effort with capacity maximizes output without burnout. Lifestyle optimization is deliberate. Nutrition, movement, sleep, and mental routines are not optional. They are performance multipliers. Small improvements in these areas exponentially enhance focus, resilience, and cognitive function. Neglect them and all effort suffers. Recovery is part of execution. Deep work without rest produces diminishing returns. Rested muscles, a clear mind, and balanced emotions allow maximal performance when it matters. Structure recovery as intentionally as effort. Feedback loops accelerate growth. Measure progress, analyze performance, and adjust strategies. Ignoring feedback leads to repeated mistakes. Effective systems are iterative, evolving, and responsive. Continuous refinement transforms effort into mastery. Prioritization ensures leverage. Identify the few actions that create the most impact and focus exclusively on them. Avoid distractions and low-value work. Momentum grows when high-leverage tasks dominate attention and energy. Mindset underpins performance. Mental toughness, clarity, and resilience are not traits. They are cultivated states. Regularly challenge yourself, embrace discomfort, and strengthen self-discipline. The mind adapts to consistent, deliberate pressure. Consistency compounds results. Excellence is not a one-time act, but a sustained pattern. The accumulation of disciplined effort, focus, and intentional decision-making creates unstoppable progress. Success becomes a natural byproduct of aligned systems and relentless execution. Self-leadership is the ability to direct your own life with clarity, discipline, and purpose. Most people wait for external direction, guidance, or motivation. High performers lead themselves first, and the world follows. Leadership begins internally, not externally. Influence mastery starts with credibility. Your ability to inspire, guide, or impact others is a reflection of your self-discipline, competence, and integrity. People follow those who consistently act in alignment with their words and values. Influence without authenticity is temporary. Boundaries reinforce leadership. Leading yourself requires saying no to distractions, toxic influences, and low-value commitments. Every refusal protects energy, focus, and clarity. Boundaries are not selfish. They are essential for sustained impact. Communication is amplified by example. Speak with intention. Act consistently. Demonstrate standards silently through behavior. Words without aligned action are empty. Influence is earned, not demanded. Vision drives leadership. High performers think beyond immediate gratification. They operate with long-term perspective, anticipating challenges, opportunities, and consequences. Clear vision aligns decisions, actions, and priorities toward meaningful outcomes. Accountability is non-negotiable. Leaders do not blame circumstances or people. They measure results, take responsibility, and adjust strategies. Ownership over outcomes builds credibility, resilience, and influence simultaneously. Legacy is the ultimate metric of leadership. Your impact is measured not by short-term gains, but by the lasting change you create. The habits, decisions, and influence you cultivate today shape the world you leave behind. Visualization is a tool that bridges the gap between intention and action. Most people underestimate its power, seeing it as mere imagination. High performers use vivid, detailed mental imagery to rehearse success, anticipate challenges, and program the mind for action. Future self-alignment is critical. Identify the version of yourself you wish to become. Study their habits, mindset, and decisions. Then, consistently act in alignment with that identity today. Small choices, repeated daily, bridge the gap between current reality and aspirational self. Mental rehearsal strengthens confidence. Visualize executing challenging tasks flawlessly. Imagine responding to setbacks with composure. Picture achieving long-term goals in vivid detail. The mind cannot distinguish well-rehearsed visualization from real experience. Neural pathways are reinforced as if the actions have already occurred. Clarity of intention amplifies manifestation. Clearly define goals, outcomes, and standards. Vague objectives produce scattered effort. Specific, measurable visions focus energy, sharpen decisions, and accelerate execution. Integration with action is essential. Visualization alone is insufficient. Every mental rehearsal must inform physical steps. Plan, execute, reflect, and refine. Visualization primes the mind, but action actualizes the vision. Emotion enhances impact. Engage fully when visualizing. Feel the pride, satisfaction, and confidence of achieving your goals. Emotional intensity strengthens neural imprinting, making the desired outcome feel tangible and attainable. Consistency compounds effectiveness. Daily alignment with future self and regular visualization establishes identity patterns. Over time, your subconscious begins to steer decisions, habits, and reactions toward the person you intend to become. Energy is the foundation of sustained performance. Without it, focus, decision-making, and discipline degrade rapidly. Most people treat energy as infinite, neglecting rest, nutrition, and recovery. High performers manage energy intentionally, understanding it as the currency of achievement. Biorhythms dictate optimal performance windows. Identify your natural peaks in alertness, creativity, and physical capacity. Schedule high-value tasks during these periods. Respect low-energy phases for rest, reflection, and low-stakes activity. Aligning effort with energy maximizes output and preserves sustainability. Nutrition fuels cognition and resilience. Consistent intake of high-quality fuel stabilizes focus, mood, and stamina. Poor nutrition results in fluctuating energy, scattered attention, and weakened self-discipline. Food is not just sustenance, it is performance leverage. Physical movement reinforces mental strength. Exercise is not optional for high performance. It primes the nervous system, improves clarity, and enhances emotional regulation. Even brief, consistent activity compounds into long-term resilience and cognitive sharpness. Sleep is non-negotiable. Restorative sleep consolidates memory, processes emotion, and resets energy reserves. Depriving yourself compromises judgment, focus, and reaction to stress. Protect sleep as fiercely as any other productive resource. Recovery routines amplify consistency. Strategic breaks, meditation, breath work, and intentional downtime maintain peak function. Overexertion without recovery leads to burnout, diminished returns, and mental fatigue. Balance is not weakness, it is leverage. High-performance daily routines are rituals, not chores. Structured mornings, intentional work blocks, and evening reflection create rhythm and momentum. Habits executed automatically free cognitive resources for high-leverage decisions and complex problem-solving. Mental clarity is the gateway to high performance. Cluttered thoughts, scattered attention, and constant stimulation drain focus and decision-making capacity. Most people drift through their day reacting, not acting. High performers cultivate mental stillness intentionally. Focus deepening begins with single tasking. Multitasking fragments attention and diminishes output. Commit fully to one task at a time. Engage completely, without distraction, until the work is done. Presence amplifies quality, efficiency, and mastery. Flow state is achieved through challenge proficiency balance. Tasks must stretch your skill without overwhelming it. Too easy and boredom kills engagement. Too difficult and anxiety blocks progress. Seek the sweet spot where skill meets challenge and deep immersion occurs naturally. Environmental control reinforces clarity. Minimize sensory overload, remove distractions, and design your workspace to support sustained attention. Every notification silenced, every irrelevant stimulus removed increases cognitive bandwidth. Mindful practice sharpens perception. Observe thoughts without attachment. Label distractions, acknowledge them, and return to focus. This trains neural pathways for sustained attention, calm under pressure, and heightened awareness of subtle cues. Energy alignment fuels clarity. Physical, emotional, and mental energy must converge to maintain flow. Manage sleep, nutrition, movement, and emotional regulation deliberately. When energy is optimal, concentration deepens effortlessly. Micro-recovery techniques sustain focus. Short pauses, deep breathing, or brief walks reset attention. Use them strategically to maintain high output without fatigue. Small interventions compound into prolonged mental sharpness. Emotional intelligence is the silent engine behind influence and high-stakes performance. Most people underestimate the power of understanding their own emotions and reading the emotions of others. Awareness of feelings drives better decisions, stronger relationships, and greater impact. Self-awareness begins with observation. Notice your emotional triggers, habitual reactions, and internal dialogue. Identify patterns that enhance or undermine your effectiveness. Clarity about your inner state creates control over behavior. Self-regulation is non-negotiable. Emotions are signals, not commands. Anger, fear, or frustration can guide insight, but they should never dictate actions impulsively. Pause, breathe, and choose deliberate responses aligned with long-term goals. Empathy amplifies influence. Understanding perspectives, needs, and motivations of others allows you to communicate persuasively, navigate conflict, and inspire collaboration. Emotional resonance opens doors that logic alone cannot. Social awareness requires observation and listening. High performers read subtle cues, tone, body language, micro-expressions, to anticipate outcomes and adjust behavior. This foresight creates leverage in negotiations, leadership, and relationships. Relationship management is impact in action. Build trust through consistency, honesty, and reliability. Manage conflicts with calm authority. Offer guidance, support, and challenge appropriately. Influence grows where respect is earned, not demanded. Composure under pressure multiplies authority. In high-stakes situations, emotional stability signals competence. Leaders who maintain calm, assess rationally, and act decisively inspire confidence and alignment. Decision-making under uncertainty separates ordinary performers from exceptional ones. Most people react impulsively or defer choices out of fear. High performers cultivate frameworks to evaluate options, anticipate outcomes, and act decisively. Clarity begins with criteria. Define what matters most: values, long-term goals, and key priorities. Decisions aligned with these criteria reduce hesitation, confusion, and regret. Every choice becomes an opportunity to reinforce your standards. Risk assessment is not avoidance, it is preparation. Identify potential obstacles, evaluate likelihood and impact, and plan contingencies. Calculated risk, taken consistently, accelerates growth and opens doors others fear to approach. Scenario planning enhances adaptability. Consider multiple paths and outcomes before acting. Visualize consequences, responses, and adjustments. Anticipating variability reduces stress and increases confidence in execution. Bias awareness strengthens judgment. Humans are prone to cognitive errors: confirmation bias, loss aversion, overconfidence. Recognize these tendencies and counteract them through data, reflection, and deliberate questioning. Decisions are experiments. Act, observe results, refine approach, and iterate. Waiting for perfect information guarantees stagnation. High performers embrace imperfect knowledge and adjust in real time. Speed with precision is mastery. Inaction kills momentum. Decisive action, informed by principles and evidence, compounds advantages over time. Consistency in intelligent decision-making creates trust, authority, and results. Setbacks are inevitable. Every high performer faces obstacles, failures, and unexpected disruptions. The difference lies not in avoiding adversity, but in the ability to recover and maintain momentum. Resilience is a skill, cultivated intentionally, not a trait you're born with. Reframing is critical. View failures as feedback, not verdicts. Every challenge provides data on what works, what doesn't, and where growth is required. Perspective transforms frustration into fuel. Recovery requires deliberate action. Don't simply wait for circumstances to improve. Assess, plan, and execute next steps immediately. Momentum is regained through small, consistent actions that re-establish progress. Emotional containment is essential. Setbacks trigger disappointment, fear, or anger. Acknowledge these emotions, but do not allow them to dictate behavior. Channel energy into problem-solving and disciplined execution. Micro-wins accelerate recovery. Break challenges into actionable steps. Each completed step rebuilds confidence, reinforces discipline, and restores momentum. Small victories compound into large progress over time. Patience with the process is a superpower. High performers understand that recovery takes time and persistence. Rushing results often leads to poor decisions, while consistent effort solidifies resilience. Systems prevent collapse. Develop routines, checklists, and habits that function even under stress. When the environment becomes chaotic, systems maintain output and minimize error. Reliability under pressure separates leaders from spectators. Goal acceleration is not about rushing, it is about leverage. Most people spread effort thin across many priorities, producing minimal results. High performers identify high-impact actions and focus relentlessly on them. Leverage comes from the intersection of skill, time, and opportunity. Allocate energy where it generates exponential returns. Delegate, automate, or eliminate low-value tasks. Your output multiplies when focus is concentrated on what truly matters. Planning is dynamic, not static. Review goals regularly, adjust tactics, and respond to new information. Flexibility without losing sight of the end game accelerates progress while preserving alignment with purpose. Time blocking is critical. Guard hours for deep work, uninterrupted focus, and strategic thinking. Shallow activity, busy work, and constant interruptions dilute progress. Protect your time as the most valuable asset you own. Measurement fuels momentum. Track progress with tangible metrics. Feedback informs decisions, identifies bottlenecks, and reveals opportunities for improvement. Data-driven action compounds results faster than intuition alone. Energy management sustains acceleration. Align high-leverage tasks with peak energy periods. Incorporate rest strategically. Burnout erodes results. Consistent, high-quality output compounds over time. Accountability amplifies execution. Share commitments, create systems of checks, and maintain public or personal reporting structures. Pressure from accountability accelerates follow-through and ensures consistent performance. Legacy is built through intentional action, not accidental success. Most people focus on short-term gains, recognition, or fleeting achievements. High performers operate with long-term influence in mind, understanding that enduring impact transcends immediate rewards. Every decision compounds over time. The small choices you make daily, how you treat others, how you invest your energy, and how you maintain integrity accumulate into your reputation, influence, and legacy. Nothing is insignificant. Influence extends beyond personal gain. True impact comes from improving the lives of others, creating systems that outlast your presence, and teaching lessons that multiply through generations. Your actions echo long after you stop acting. Consistency is the cornerstone of legacy. Repeated demonstration of values, discipline, and excellence establishes credibility. Inconsistent effort, regardless of talent, erodes trust and diminishes long-term influence. Mentorship multiplies impact. Sharing knowledge, guidance, and standards ensures that your influence extends beyond your personal capacity. Invest in developing others. Their growth amplifies your legacy exponentially. Principle-driven action protects your reputation. Decisions rooted in integrity, fairness, and long-term vision withstand scrutiny and time. Opportunistic or reactionary choices may yield short-term gains, but damage lasting influence. Preparation for succession is strategic. Build structures, systems, and culture that continue to produce results in your absence. Legacy is not just what you achieve, it is what continues to thrive because of you. Self-actualization is the apex of personal growth. Most people chase external markers, money, status, or recognition, believing fulfillment resides there. High performers understand that true satisfaction emerges from alignment between identity, purpose, and daily action. Alignment begins with clarity of self. Know your values, strengths, and passions. Identify what gives meaning to your effort, what drives your curiosity, and what challenges energize you. Without this self-knowledge, external success feels hollow. Purpose guides action. When your daily choices reflect your deeper mission, effort becomes effortless. Challenges are approached with resilience, setbacks become learning opportunities, and persistence feels natural rather than forced. Mastery of self bridges desire and discipline. Align intentions with behavior consistently. Thoughts, emotions, and actions converge toward a singular vision. Inner conflict diminishes, and decisions are made with confidence and precision. Fulfillment is cultivated, not discovered. It arises from contribution, growth, and consistent living in accordance with personal standards. Achievement alone cannot satisfy. It must be paired with meaningful engagement and ethical action. Reflection deepens alignment. Regular self-assessment ensures that your trajectory remains true. Adjust behaviors, habits, and routines that drift from core principles. Vigilance maintains integrity and prevents compromise of values. Integration is the final stage. Identity, purpose, and action merge into seamless expression. Life becomes coherent, energy is optimized, and impact is amplified. The person you are internally matches the results and influence you project externally. Peak performance is not accidental. It is engineered through consistent practice, habit automation, and psychological conditioning. Most people rely on motivation, which is fleeting. High performers rely on systems that make excellence automatic. Habits are the architecture of success. Small, repeated actions executed consistently compound over time into extraordinary results. Focus on keystone habits, those that influence multiple areas of life, and let them cascade into broader growth. Automation reduces friction. When positive behaviors are non-negotiable and habitual, energy is preserved for complex problem-solving and creative work. Relying on willpower alone leads to fatigue and inconsistency. Psychological conditioning strengthens resilience. Train your mind to embrace discomfort, delay gratification, and tolerate uncertainty. Each challenge met reinforces neural pathways associated with discipline, confidence, and persistence. Feedback loops accelerate growth. Track progress, measure results, and adjust actions based on real-world outcomes. Reflection without action is wasted insight. Action without reflection is blind effort. Combine both for exponential improvement. Continuous learning fuels evolution. Knowledge acquisition, skill refinement, and experience accumulation are lifelong commitments. The person who stops learning stagnates, while the committed learner compounds competence over decades. Mindset management amplifies every effort. Adopt perspectives that embrace challenge, see failure as feedback, and value long-term growth over short-term comfort. Mental framing determines whether effort translates into progress or frustration. Self-mastery is tested in moments of distraction, temptation, and environmental pressure. Most people surrender to impulses, habits, and external influence. High performers cultivate control over attention, emotion, and action, even when circumstances are chaotic. Temptation is a test of clarity. Instant gratification is seductive, but it undermines long-term goals. Each time you resist impulses, you strengthen neural pathways of self-control, confidence, and focus. Discipline compounds. Distraction is the silent thief of progress. Social media, noise, and multitasking fragment attention and reduce efficiency. Control your environment deliberately. Remove triggers, schedule uninterrupted work, and prioritize what truly matters. Stress is inevitable, but surrender is optional. Pressure amplifies weaknesses and reveals character. Responding calmly under strain strengthens resilience. Controlled breathing, mental rehearsal, and structured routines anchor performance when external chaos rises. Energy management supports mastery. Physical, emotional, and mental energy converge to sustain high performance. Sleep, nutrition, movement, and recovery are non-negotiables, not luxuries. A depleted body and mind undermine discipline, regardless of intent. Micro-decisions build identity. Every choice to act intentionally, resist temptation, or refocus attention signals to your subconscious, I am in control. Identity follows repeated actions, not declarations. Freedom emerges from control, the ability to act in alignment with long-term goals, despite distractions or pressure, creates autonomy. Real power is the mastery of self over circumstance. Strategic thinking is the differentiator between effort and results. Most people react to circumstances rather than anticipate them. High performers identify patterns, anticipate challenges, and leverage opportunities before others even notice them. Problem solving is amplified by clarity. Define the problem precisely before acting. Vague understanding leads to wasted energy and poor decisions. Break complex issues into manageable parts, analyze consequences, and develop multiple solutions. High-leverage decisions create disproportionate impact. Focus on actions that produce the greatest return relative to effort. Identify critical bottlenecks, prioritize them, and execute relentlessly. Not all work is equal. Some moves shape the entire trajectory of your life. Scenario planning increases adaptability. Consider best case, worst case, and probable outcomes. Prepare responses for each scenario. Flexibility paired with premeditated strategy allows swift action without panic. Data and intuition work together. Gather evidence, analyze trends, and listen to gut instincts shaped by experience. The fusion of logic and intuition produces superior decision-making under uncertainty. Contingency frameworks prevent paralysis. Accept that mistakes are inevitable, but design fallback plans. Reducing the fear of failure allows bolder, higher reward moves. Courage thrives where preparation meets calculated risk. Execution is the ultimate test. A brilliant strategy without action is worthless. Discipline, consistency, and follow-through convert insight into results. Ideas only matter when applied with precision. Criticism and opposition are inevitable for anyone pursuing growth and excellence. Most people shrink under judgment or conform to avoid conflict. High performers use feedback, both positive and negative, as fuel for improvement rather than as validation or discouragement. External pressure exposes hidden weaknesses. Instead of reacting emotionally, observe objectively. Ask, is this relevant? Can I learn from it? Does it alter my principles? Responding deliberately strengthens character and preserves focus. Reframe criticism as information, not insult. Every critique reveals perception, expectation, or opportunity for growth. Filter what serves your development and discard what distracts or diminishes you. Opposition tests resilience. Competitors, naysayers, or systemic obstacles challenge your vision. Persistence in the face of resistance signals commitment, and each confrontation reinforces confidence in your capabilities. Self-belief anchors performance. When criticism pierces the mind, your internal standards guide action. The louder the external voices, the clearer your internal compass must be. Trust your preparation, your habits, and your long-term trajectory. Calm under pressure becomes a signature trait. Observe, assess, adapt, and act with precision. Emotional volatility erodes influence, while composed responses inspire respect and create opportunity. Momentum shields against noise. Consistent action diminishes the power of judgment. Results speak louder than opinions. Every task completed, every goal achieved reinforces credibility and deflects doubt. Fatigue is inevitable. The body tires, the mind resists, and motivation wanes. Most people surrender to exhaustion and rationalize shortcuts. High performers push beyond initial discomfort, understanding that endurance builds strength and results compound under consistent effort. Stress amplifies every choice. When the mind is overloaded, impulses intensify, patience erodes, and clarity diminishes. Discipline is not the absence of stress. It is the ability to act with precision despite it. Extreme challenges reveal true character. Obstacles that feel insurmountable are the proving grounds for mental toughness. Each step forward under difficulty strengthens resilience, confidence, and self-reliance. Micro-focus sustains action. Break daunting tasks into manageable segments. Concentrate fully on each action without being overwhelmed by the whole. Small victories accumulate into unstoppable momentum. Self-talk is critical. The internal narrative under fatigue can either break or build you. Replace doubt and excuses with constructive, directive language. I can manage this. I will take the next step. Progress counts even if slow. Recovery is strategic. Rest, nutrition, and mental reset are tools, not indulgences. Planned recovery preserves energy for sustained high performance while preventing burnout. Discipline includes knowing when to push and when to recharge efficiently. Mindset mastery under extreme conditions separates the competent from the elite. It is the unwavering commitment to act according to your standards, regardless of circumstances. Every choice under pressure reinforces identity, discipline, and the trajectory of your life. High-performance routines are not accidental. They are designed with intention, repetition, and adaptability. Most people drift through their days reacting to circumstances, while elite performers structure life to maximize output, energy, and growth. Habit stacking multiplies results. Link new positive behaviors to existing routines. One intentional action triggers another, creating a chain of productivity that operates automatically. Small habits, compounded daily, redefine identity and capabilities over time. Optimization is holistic. Physical health, mental clarity, emotional balance, and environmental design converge to create peak performance. Neglect one, and the system weakens. Attend to body, mind, and surroundings with equal rigor. Morning rituals set the tone. Begin the day with intention, focus, and high-value actions. Control the first hours to dictate the tempo for the rest. Most people surrender mornings to distraction, but mastery starts before the world demands attention. Evening reflection consolidates gains, review achievements, adjust strategies, and prepare for the next day. This closing loop ensures continuous learning, accountability, and momentum maintenance. Energy prioritization drives output. Allocate resources to high-leverage work, essential relationships, and meaningful contribution. Avoid energy drains that provide temporary comfort but long-term setbacks. Adaptation sustains growth. Conditions change, obstacles arise, and priorities shift. A high-performance life is not rigid, it is structured, yet flexible enough to respond effectively without losing direction. Legacy is not built by chance. It is constructed through deliberate action, consistent values, and influence that extends beyond your immediate presence. Most people focus on short-term gains, but true impact is measured in lives touched, systems improved, and standards elevated. Influence multiplies when aligned with integrity. Your words, actions, and habits shape perception and inspire others to emulate excellence. Every interaction carries the potential to expand your reach and create positive ripple effects. Mentorship accelerates legacy. Teaching, guiding, and developing others ensures that your knowledge and standards propagate. Those you elevate carry your influence further than you could alone, amplifying impact across generations. Decision-making with long-term perspective protects legacy. Shortcuts, compromises, and reactive behavior erode credibility. Each choice should be evaluated not only for immediate benefit, but for enduring effect. Systems sustain influence, establish processes, routines, and standards that continue to operate independently of your presence. A strong system ensures that values and effectiveness outlast individual effort. Contribution precedes recognition. Those focused solely on fame or acknowledgement limit their reach. True legacy emerges from consistent service, value creation, and excellence performed regardless of visibility. Reflection maintains alignment. Regularly assess whether your actions, priorities, and habits are reinforcing the legacy you intend to leave. Adjust where necessary, but remain steadfast in core principles. High-stakes environments test every facet of performance. Pressure, uncertainty, and risk are constants, yet most people falter because they react emotionally rather than strategically. Peak performers train the mind to remain calm, decisive, and adaptable. Mental resilience under uncertainty is built through preparation and repetition. Anticipate challenges before they arise, simulate scenarios, and rehearse responses. Familiarity with adversity reduces fear and enhances clarity when real pressure strikes. Decision-making under ambiguity requires structured thinking. Gather data where possible. Identify core variables, and prioritize actions that protect the long-term trajectory. Avoid paralysis by analysis. Action, even imperfect, outperforms hesitation. Stress inoculation strengthens endurance. Expose yourself deliberately to controlled challenges, discomfort, and complexity. Each encounter teaches the nervous system to remain composed and the mind to remain focused. Emotional regulation is non-negotiable. High performers separate feelings from decisions. Anxiety, frustration, or excitement inform, but do not dictate action. Calm, deliberate responses under pressure build trust, credibility, and results. Cognitive flexibility accelerates adaptation. The ability to pivot strategies, reframe problems, and identify alternative pathways under uncertainty ensures progress despite changing conditions. Rigidity leads to stagnation. Adaptability fuels growth. Leadership is not a title. It is the consistent demonstration of standards, vision, and accountability. Most people wait for authority or recognition before taking initiative, but true leaders act regardless of position. Influence under pressure defines legacy. When chaos arises, a calm, principled response inspires confidence. People follow those who manage themselves first, then guide others through uncertainty. High-performance teams mirror the discipline and standards of their leader. Your behavior, priorities, and expectations set the tone. Consistency, integrity, and clarity become contagious when embodied authentically. Communication shapes culture. Clear, concise, and purposeful messaging aligns action with vision. Ambiguity breeds confusion. Precision creates trust and momentum. Delegation multiplies impact. Identify strengths, assign responsibility, and empower others to act. Leadership is amplified when others execute effectively under guidance, not micromanagement. Accountability is the backbone of high performance. Track commitments, monitor progress, and address deviations constructively. Tolerance for mediocrity erodes team standards, while enforcement of excellence elevates collective output. Adaptability protects influence. Teams and environments are dynamic. Flexibility in approach ensures goals remain attainable without compromising core principles. Leaders who adjust intelligently, not reactively, maintain authority and progress. Your mind is the operating system for your life. Most people allow outdated beliefs, habits, and fears to run automatically, limiting their potential without even realizing it. High performers intentionally rewire thought patterns, creating mental software aligned with success. Cognitive rewiring begins with awareness. Observe automatic thoughts and identify self-limiting beliefs. I can't, I'm not ready, or "this is too hard" are not facts. They are habits of the mind. Recognize them without judgment. Next, replace old patterns with intentional, empowering narratives. Speak to yourself as a capable, disciplined, and resourceful individual. Repetition strengthens new neural pathways. Consistency transforms temporary motivation into permanent identity. Behavior follows belief. Change thinking first, and actions will align naturally. Every decision, every small habit, every choice to act in alignment with your new mental model reinforces your transformed identity. Visualization accelerates rewiring. Mentally rehearse desired outcomes, not as fantasies, but as familiar, achievable scenarios. The brain cannot always distinguish vivid rehearsal from actual experience, making preparation instinctual. Environment supports transformation. Surround yourself with cues, people, and stimuli that reinforce the mindset you desire. Remove triggers that perpetuate doubt, distraction, or mediocrity. Accountability solidifies change. Track progress, review daily choices, and adjust when necessary. Reflection combined with action cements the neural and behavioral shifts required for long-term success. Failure is not an endpoint, it is information. Most people react to failure with shame, avoidance, or excuses. High performers treat it as data, a guide for adjustment, learning, and strategy refinement. Momentum is born from persistence. Even when results lag, consistent effort compounds silently. Each step forward, however small, builds velocity that cannot be easily reversed. Quitters abandon this process, leaving potential untapped. Adversity tests limits. Physical, mental, and emotional pressure expose gaps in preparation, discipline, and mindset. Instead of retreating, face challenges deliberately. Growth occurs in discomfort, not comfort. Reframe obstacles as opportunities. Every difficulty reveals a weakness to strengthen, a lesson to internalize, or a perspective to expand. Adversity is the crucible where excellence is forged. Routine under pressure is essential. Maintain habits, rituals, and standards even when circumstances are chaotic. Discipline under adversity differentiates those who succeed from those who capitulate. Self-talk is crucial. Replace fear-driven narratives with statements of capability, focus, and determination. I can handle this. I will take the next step. Progress matters even if slow. Language shapes perception and drives action. Celebrate small wins. Recognize incremental progress to maintain morale, reinforce identity, and sustain momentum. Compounded consistently, these victories produce life-altering outcomes. Self-mastery is the ability to control impulses, emotions, and attention, even when external circumstances are chaotic or internal desires are strong. Most people react automatically to cravings, distractions, or discomfort. High performers pause, assess, and act intentionally. Impulse control begins with awareness. Notice urges before acting. Identify the trigger, the immediate desire, and the long-term consequence. This moment of observation creates choice, and choice is power. Flow emerges when action aligns with focus and skill. To achieve it consistently, eliminate distractions, define clear goals, and engage fully in the task at hand. Flow is not luck. It is deliberate preparation meeting disciplined execution. Habits reinforce mastery. Every repeated action trains the nervous system. Choosing restraint over indulgence, consistency over convenience, and effort over avoidance strengthens control. Each decision compounds into identity. Energy management supports self-mastery. Physical health, sleep, nutrition, and mental clarity directly influence impulse strength. A depleted system yields weaker resistance. Build your foundation before testing limits. Reflection solidifies growth. Analyze moments when impulses were resisted and when they were not. Identify patterns, adjust strategies, and refine triggers for future situations. Feedback loops accelerate permanent behavior change. Patience is non-negotiable. Mastery does not arrive instantly. Each act of control, each extended focus session, and each deliberate choice incrementally builds the self capable of operating under pressure without compromise. Productivity is not about doing more, it's about doing what matters with maximum efficiency. Most people fill time with low-value tasks, distractions, and reactive work. High performers design systems that focus energy on high-leverage actions. Time is finite. Attention is priceless. Every decision about how you spend either compounds success or erodes it. Prioritize tasks that align with your long-term vision, not short-term gratification. Frameworks amplify output. Use structured routines, batching, and deliberate sequencing to minimize friction and mental load. Automate where possible, delegate when appropriate, and remove non-essential obligations. Momentum thrives on consistency. Start the day with high-value tasks before reacting to notifications, emails, or minor distractions. The first hours set the tone for output, energy, and clarity. Decision fatigue is a silent killer. Simplify choices in areas of low importance to conserve mental energy for critical tasks. Habits, systems, and standards reduce cognitive load and protect focus. Reflection and adjustment are essential. End each day reviewing achievements, identifying bottlenecks, and planning the next day strategically. Small, consistent improvements compound into extraordinary results over months and years. Energy and focus cycles matter. Align demanding work with peak mental periods, schedule rest and recovery during lows, and protect deep work from interruptions. Discipline is not rigidity. It is intelligent alignment of action with capacity. Continuous improvement is the backbone of mastery. Most people plateau because they stop analyzing performance, avoid uncomfortable truths, or settle for what feels adequate. High performers constantly assess, refine, and evolve. Self-evaluation begins with honesty. Review your actions, habits, decisions, and results without blame or excuses. Identify gaps between intention and execution, then design precise adjustments. Compounding excellence occurs when small improvements are applied consistently. 1% better daily leads to exponential growth over months and years. Progress that feels invisible today becomes transformative tomorrow. Feedback is a catalyst. Seek input from mentors, peers, and results themselves. Information is only valuable when acted upon. Reflection without adjustment is stagnation. Set measurable standards. Define what success looks like in actions, not just outcomes. Quantify progress wherever possible. Track habits, time spent, and effort applied. Data transforms vague goals into actionable steps. Resilience supports continuous improvement. When setbacks occur, extract lessons quickly and integrate them into the next iteration. Avoid self-criticism that immobilizes. Replace it with analytical problem patience compounds gains. Change is rarely immediate. What matters is persistence, adherence to principles, and unwavering focus on long-term growth. The most effective people are invisible in their work, yet unstoppable in results. Solving.